Citizens, it's a sad day. Why is it sad, do you ask? Well, we've had some deaths. And unfortunately, we've had some deaths because of nothing that I did. I take zero responsibility for this. Oh, you're stuck again. Oh my god. Hang on, let's get him out of here. Thank you. It's nothing because I did. It's because of villager pathing and villager AI. Villagers are dumb. And I know as the mayor, I shouldn't be saying this about my citizens, but they're not all that bright. And the layout that I had for our wonderful and amazing, and may I add, expensive, housing that we had built for them wasn't very good. And the reason it wasn't good is because there were spots in there where once they got out of their beds up here, they would just fall straight down and die. Or they would respawn somewhere other than the blocks that were respawnable upstairs. So I changed things around. But the end result of this is that we've had to severely change how housing works. So as you can tell, they now live on the bottom floor with plenty of respawn space, and they're not able to respawn outside of this. Now, of course, this means that the rest of this is empty, which makes me kind of sad. But villagers, not all that bright. Case in point. But because of that, we have to do a real quick build here for our departed brethren. And we already have part of it done. So we're going to repurpose, because I made this just to sort of cover up the mine down here. But the more I look at it, the more I think this kind of looks like a mausoleum. So why not build a graveyard? So that this person can look right out at it. That sounds fantastic, don't you think? So we're going to put together a real quick graveyard by the church. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of these fine citizens who fell in the line of duty because their pathing was terrible and they couldn't figure out stairs. And also in this golem site, to pay tribute to our fallen brothers and sisters and whatever villagers are. Shouldn't you be the one out here doing this? Sorry. And in conclusion, ask not what you can do for your mayor, but ask what your mayor won't do for you. Well, they're not getting any deader. So in the last episode, I teased a little bit on the New York Public Library recreation that we're going to be doing over here for our villagers, for our librarians and our cartographers. So we're still going to do that. However, I think we're going to wait another episode before we actually do that one, because that's going to be a fairly big project, and I'm going to need to go into creative to figure out exactly what that needs to look like. So probably what we'll do is at the end of the episode here, we'll go into creative and just sort of play around with different designs and see if we can come up with one that we actually like. But for now, I've got something that I've been meaning to do for a while, and that has to do with these. As you can see, we have 9 bee nests, all with bees in them that I've just found while wandering around exploring things. And we really need to get some bee farming going here, because as you can see, our dome's looking mighty peaked up there. It needs to be taken back to its original glory. But in order to do that, we need to have wax. And wax is actually the simpler one. Whoop, wrong one. That one, please. Thank you. Wax is the simpler one of these to do, because it's actually a very, very simple construction to get bee wax out of bee hives and bee nests, not bee hives. I don't know why they call these nests and the other ones hives. Makes no sense. But anyway, so this is actually a very simple build to do for an automatic bee farm, because really all we need are, what do we have here? We have 9 of these, so we need 9 observers, 9 dispensers, a bunch of shears, and some redstone. It's real easy, and some hoppers and chests, but I mean, that's easy enough. So if we go over here, you can see we've got plenty of iron, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab 35 of these iron blocks, and we're going to make some, actually, do I have any hoppers over here in my, I've got 4, that's not all that helpful. So we're going to go ahead and make some more hoppers, we're going to make some dispensers, some observers, and some chests, and grab some blocks, and we'll go over to the site that I want to build this at, and yeah, join me over there. And here we are over at the build site, and I'm actually going to pull a little bit of an audible on you because I was just thinking about how we could do this and what way would make the most sense to actually get this done. So here's where the layout of our hives are going to be. So we're going to have 9 hives, 3 to a side. So 3, 3, and 3. And I decided, you know what? Why, instead of having each of these into separate chests, which is just kind of wasteful, why don't we just go ahead and run a rail line underneath here all the way around and basically give only one square for our beeswax to actually dump out on. So basically we're going to have a hive here, this grass block with a flower here, and then a minecart hopper running around under here that'll drop it off into chests down in this area. So that's how we're actually going to build this thing, is that way. So, of course, things we brought with us, we've got some glass, we've got some spruce logs, iron, just in case. We've got our dispensers and observers. We need 9 each of those. Obviously, we need some blocks to put the redstone on for it, and so on and so forth. So, real simple build. I'm going to show you how one of these works, and then we'll just sort of go into a montage of me building this here. So, we get rid of this. Well, I'm going to need to put this in front of the beehive. Well, you know what? I'll just use this. I'll make this easy on everyone. So, basically what we're going to be doing, let's grab a dispenser, let's grab an observer, and let's grab some shears. There we go. Put that back in there. So what's going to happen here is we're going to have an observer that's going to be observing this block. So as you can see, whoops, I totally got it the wrong way. Professional YouTuber. So there we go. So we've got that going out that direction, or if you want, you can put it on top. I typically put it on top. It doesn't really matter where you put it as long as the redstone signal will actually get through. So I'm going to put this on top of there, and then the dispenser is going to go here. So the dispenser is now facing the beehive. Really it is. Put our shears in. So there's our 9 shears. You don't have to put 9 in. I just put in 9 just because. And then we need a block on top of this. I'm going to go ahead and just do spruce planks and a dot of redstone on top of there. Redstone also needs to go on top of the observer itself. So you have 2 dots of redstone. So you have 1 there and 1 there over this block to this dispenser. So when a block update happens, fires, done. It'll shear it automatically. It will drop its drop in the only space it can, which is going to be in here, since all of the rest of this is going to be surrounded by blocks and or glass. And the minecart with hopper will just run across here and pick it up. So real simple. Now, is this the most efficient thing? Probably not. Is it 100% lossless if you don't have, blocks everywhere that it can't squirt out of? No, it won't be 100% lossless unless you basically get everything built in. But is it simple? Is it efficient? Does it work? Yes to all 3 of those. Well, efficient, I guess, it's up for debate. But it's simple and it works. And actually, once you get it all built in here and we have a structure around it, it's going to look very, very interesting. So, all right, now that we got that down, let's get to building. Alright, so second to last step, and this is typically where disaster strikes if it's going to, and that is putting the bees down right here, and then quickly putting glass block down there. So we'll see if we can pull this off quick enough. Okay, that's good. That's very good. Okay, whew. Alrighty. Jeez. Okay, well, if they all go that smoothly, then we'll be just fine. In fact, I can hear bees working in there right now. Alrighty. Well, let's keep going here. One got out. That's okay. As long as there's one, that's fine. You can just be free roaming bee. How does that sound? Oh, no.
Not the bee!
Okay. One's still left. As long as you have one bee in there, this will work just fine. But it's that you have to have at least one bee for this to work. And next. Ah! Alright. That one. That one. Glass. Ha-ha! We have all of our bee nests in. Fantastico. And we had a couple of bees that got away, but that's alright. Because they can just be free-roaming bees. And once we have enough honeycomb, we can actually make a beehive for them, since they'll stay over here, probably. Or they might wander off, that's fine. As long as there's one bee in each one of these, you should be okay. And it will, every time there is a block update with this, whether a bee comes out or goes in, it will fire the shears, but if there's nothing there to shear, it's not going to waste the durability on them at all. So we have 12 honeycomb already. Beeswax, honeycomb, whatever you want to call it. So we have 12 honeycomb, so let's go ahead and we're going to close this up with our pattern of wood we've been using here. And we'll deal with this later too. Probably what we'll do is we'll do like a stairway or something down to it. And then we need to go ahead and put blocks on the sides just to make sure that we've got it all taken care of. And done. Lit up. Still some issues as far as every once in a while we'll actually spit stuff out to the top here. Because it's glass. I mean, that's something that we've known for a very long time in Minecraft. But if we put slabs on top of this, that should solve that particular problem. Which is probably what we'll end up doing. We're going to dress this up more than it already is, of course, but we've just got some sort of stairs going down here, going to the chest. We've already got 24 honeycomb, which is fantastic. And like I said, we'll dress it up a little bit more. I just wanted to go ahead and get this built and out here and ready to go. And then we just have to clean it up a little bit later on. But yeah, we now have a honeycomb farm, which means that up there will be waxed very soon and back to its original coppery goodness. So, hey, look at that. Project done for the day. And now that we have a new honeycomb farm and we also have had a funeral, it's time to go wandering over into my creative test world so we can take a look at some designs for the library that I have planned and sort of go through my creative process for building things like that. So let's go take a look at the library and see what we've got working for that. And welcome back to my testing world, where we have some decisions to make regarding the library. So I've got some different designs that I've been thinking about. So I've got 4 different designs here that we're going to be looking at. But the kicker is this. I am not going to be the one deciding which one of these designs we should go with. You are. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over all 4 of these designs, and they're all going to be labeled A, B, C, and D. And inside this video, or on my Discord, which is discord.gg/Akoto Kusamoto, if you want to go find that, feel free to vote on which one is your favorite and you think should be the one that we build in our world. So let's go ahead and look at what our designs are going to be. So A and B, we're going to start with here. Now, A is the one that I was going to go with originally. So this is the New York Library inspired build. So you've got those big columns, the big Roman columns out front. You've got the staircase. You've got the bas reliefs that you see on the library itself. We've got them up top here as armor stands because that's really the closest we can do. A lot of white, some gray, a lot of white in this particular build. Now, this isn't the final form, by the way. This is more like proof of concept. I'll probably play around with it a little bit and see if there's maybe something better we want to do as far as the pillars or something like that. But for the most part, this is kind of what it's going to look like. Now, the pluses of this is that it's a very instantly recognizable building style. This is the Romanesque columns. It's very much early 20th century, late 19th century, Gilded Age kind of construction. The only big thing with this is look at the amount of quartz we would need for this build. It's asinine. I do not have this much quartz, so we'd have to go quartz mining quite a bit. I do have calcite, though. So I've got enough calcite for the details up here, and I do have some sea lanterns from raiding drowned huts. So that's not a huge issue, and especially, like, I've got sea lanterns, hidden back here, but we could always replace those with glowstone. You're not going to see them. So, and that might change the location of these too, because it looks kind of wonky right in the middle. Or we might just go with just, ceiling glowstone or something, or floor glowstone, or both. I mean, it just kind of depends on what we want to do. So that's design number 1. Now, design number 2 is actually one of my favorite. And the reason it's one of my favorites is because this is a more of a melding of that Romanesque architecture with the more Art Deco style. This is actually a real building in Toulouse, France, and it is billed as an Art Deco library. So you've got more of a much cheaper build, by the way. I have all of these materials in spades, except for the terracotta, but that's easy to get. That's not a big deal. I can just go get, I can get clay, or I can get some terracotta from mason. So it's not a big deal there. And then, of course, we've got calcite and a little strip of diorite at the top. But all the rest of this, I've got plenty of. And we know where a desert is, so we can always go get more sandstone if we absolutely have to have it. So very kind of basic construction, and I really like the indented here. Now, this indented section would continue out, so you'd go basically red, gray, etc. So it would go a little bit further and look a little bit more complete, let's say. But this is straight up billed as an Art Deco library, and it's the library in Toulouse, France. And I really like the way this looks. This is, of all of these, I think this one is my absolute favorite. And it's cheap. It's cheap to construct because it's made of sandstone, terracotta, a little bit of calcite, and some warped wood, which I've got plenty of. So not a big deal to construct this. And then the interior would try to keep the same kind of feel too. So, I mean, this is my favorite for a lot of reasons. Plus, I like the shape better because rather than just being a big square building like the New York library over here with some columns out front, this has a much more interesting shape to it since you have this bit out the front. So it's more interesting to look at. And then we move on to my least favorite one, and the one that I don't want anyone to vote for because I think it's hideous. And that is C. You ready? You ready for C? Oh God, it's ugly. Now, before you start throwing things at the screen here, understand this is also a real world building, and it is also considered Art Deco. We've discussed the issues with Art Deco before, and the biggest issue is the just riot of colors that they use in Art Deco buildings. I mean, just the incongruity of some of the different colors that they use in these type of buildings. The greens and purples and magentas and pinks and like light blues, like over there. It's just the colors that they use for it are just, it's really hard to translate into Minecraft. And even with there's lots of glass in Art Deco constructions. So, the problem is with glass, we don't have any kind of curved glass. Like in the real world version of this, the glass in these little sections here is curved back so that it sort of makes a half circle shape back here with sort of an empty courtyard that goes up to glass at the top, covering it in with the rest of the building. Now, we could scale this up and do that, but look at the amount of, I chose, because they have this strange greenish blue, and none of the concrete or terracotta stuff really worked with it, so copper was perfect, this cyan kind of color. So think of the amount of copper you would have to use in a build like this. It's just ridiculous. And then this is all, magenta concrete with a little bit of calcite, black glass. All those I've got just fine. Like I said, the sea lanterns I've got some of, so that's not a big deal. But just the color scheme is just, I can't come to grips with the color scheme. So I hope this one doesn't win because I think it is just absolutely hideous. I really do. I built it because I wanted to have like an actual true 100% Art Deco construction versus this from Toulouse, which is much more understated and much more has its roots. You can see the similarities between these two with the columns out front versus the columns on the side, the attached columns. So it's Art Deco, but it still is a callback to that Romanesque style of architecture that you saw so much of at the turn of the 20th century, not only in the United States, but elsewhere too. This, though, I wish that I could recreate it as well as it looks in real life, but in Minecraft you just really don't have that option. It's just not there. You don't have the option to create things like that very well in Minecraft in a game about blocks, unless you build it a ridiculous a ridiculous scale, like that arch over there. You'd have to build this at a stupidly large scale for it to actually look like it's supposed to look. So I'm hoping this one doesn't win, because I don't want to build it at a stupidly large scale, and building it at a small scale, this doesn't look good. That's my personal opinion. So once again, B is still my favorite. And that brings us to D, which is this. I may have been very tired when I made this. So this is... okay, I just laugh every time I see it. So this is more of that villager architecture style, sort of mixed in with, once again, with like the Art Deco and the Gilded Age kind of constructions here, and like the late medieval period, the early to mid Renaissance kind of period. So it's more that style than it is a more modern style. So we're still using some of the same tricks. We're still using the flat roof here with the peaked roof over here and the villager face. It's just, like I said, I may have been very, very tired when I made this particular build. But it's much more of the classic villager style than the other ones are. And, we've added in a few other things. Like we've got the blue lanterns up here. We've got regular lanterns down here. We've got, some just basic windows. We've got some basic foundational elements with the cobblestone down there. Once again, as a nod to the whole idea of this is what the villagers build out of. But then we've got a few pieces, mixed in, like the little bit of sandstone down there for the lampposts, and of course the villager face of doom here. If you can make a building with a villager face on it and you don't, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's especially with the advent of copper for the eyes, and then the copper for the nose, and it sticks out a little bit. I was amused. I was very tired, but I was still amused. So it's a very kind of standard villager design. We've gone with the same idea with the door as the building over here. That's the Toulouse, France building, but rather than going with blue, we went with a more earthy toned color with the dark oak wood trapdoors and dark oak wood doors and dark oak frames on the side here, with a little bit of the oak as the main building material, and then spruce for the supports themselves. So this is my second favorite out of all of them, and honestly, it would be probably even easier to build than that one, because I've got all these materials just floating around everywhere. So those are the four. Those are your four choices: A, B, C, or D. So we've got, once again, New York Public Library, Toulouse, France, Art Deco Library, Art Deco travesty, a total affront against architectural sensibilities, and villager faced library. So we've got those four options. So A, B, C, or D. Like I said, my favorite I think is still B. My second favorite being D. Third favorite, and then least favorite building I've ever made in my entire life is C, because it's just, there's no way to make that look pretty, I don't think. Inside Minecraft, I just don't think there's a way to do it. Prove me wrong. Show me Art Deco constructions in Minecraft that actually look good. I have not seen any. Like, there's plenty of medieval, there's plenty of super modern, there's plenty of postmodern, there's plenty of Renaissance, all these different styles. And, Roman architecture, hey, look at that. There's the Temple of Baalbek down there. All those you can do great in Minecraft, but I have never seen a true Art Deco construction, like that pink building over there or this one here, that I think really translated well to this particular game. So, but if you can find one, fantastic. Link it to me on Discord. I'd be glad to take a look at it. But that is the episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit shorter than normal, I know. I've actually got some things going on this weekend. I'm recording this on Wednesday, Thursday as we speak, so a little bit shorter this week because I do have some things going on this weekend that I have to do. So this is going to be posted this weekend, but I'm recording it during the week. So just understand that I'm trying to keep up with the schedule I've set for myself, which I think is perfectly reasonable. It's 2 videos a week. Weekends is going to be Urban Renewal, so the one you're watching right now. And then during the week, if you're interested, we are doing an All of Fabric modded series where we just basically go through All of Fabric 4, which just released onto CurseForge a short time ago. I think it released about a month ago. Sounds about right. So we're doing a full playthrough of All of Fabric 4 and going through all the different mods and different toys and things you can play around with in that particular mod pack as well. So if you came over here from that, thanks, appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. If you are going to go over there from here, hey, I appreciate that as well. But I appreciate you in general because you make this worth me doing. So go to the Discord, go down in the comments section, vote on your favorite. Please don't vote on C. Just forget C exists, will you? It's so ugly. Blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, vote on your favorite, and I'll leave this open for probably a good 4 or 5 days just to see which one strikes everyone's fancy as far as what they want to see built in the world. But whatever you do tonight, whether you go do that or whether you go to one of my other videos or you just go wandering off, make sure that you play some games, have some fun, and I'll see you all again real soon. Have a good night, everybody.